were kind of going back and forth, and I was like, oh, it's so exciting. And you'd see somebody beat you, and you'd be like, fuck, all right, I'm gonna get back ahead of you. And then you go too hard, and people are just like, fuck you, man. You just go play by yourself. Get out of bed, pull the comb across your head. Ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom.
I don't know.
You know who that is, right?
What was that?
That's the Beatles.
Oh. I should know that.
I kind of just figured you would.
Yeah.
How's it going, man? So you're trying to wake up. You've been,
Man, I mean, have not been sleeping
dude,
at all.
Okay. Me neither, motherfucker. And
I blame you then. It's your fault.
Okay. Sympathy. Yeah. It's like I'm, pregnant and you're tired with me.
Yeah, we're in sync.
Yeah. Well, mine is like, it's not even bad right now. I've been like very positive, like, but just so much like so many things I want to do. And so like, you kind of work the regular day and then the family comes home and I very specifically got to shut down and spend time with the family. It'd be easy for me to just be like, I'm going to focus on this, and that's not good. And, but then the kiddo goes to sleep, we have dinner, kiddo goes to sleep. When I get in bed and we're not thinking about anything, well, then I just start thinking about all the stuff. And like, I'm compelled to like get up and like go get on the computer. And I'm like, no, like sleep is very important. I need this and I want this. And I even expect that I'll be tired because like the same shit's happened multiple nights in a row. But I don't get up and get on the computer. I'll get up and do some like other shit for a little while. Like I try not to just scroll endlessly because there's no end to that. So I'll like watch an episode of a show, sometimes maybe two, depending on if I'm like starting to get there, because there's an end, and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna go try this again. And I know that like watching a show, like you're looking at like, blue light, but I'll go in the darkest room and I'll turn the iPad down on the darkest mode. So it's like a small screen, as dark as possible. I'm trying not to wake myself back up, but like I can't, there's like nothing, I can't just lay there any longer. Anyway, so it's been like 2:30 a.m., like, I don't know, multiple nights in a row.
Yeah, about the same for me. The first night was, we were just trying to get a bunch of stuff done. So it was like, I was like
for the
big house, doing whatever, getting everything going. And like, I was just on it. Like I was just going. And like, then everybody else got tired and I was like, but I'm not done yet. I gotta finish what I'm doing. And so like, I was still going. Everybody else went to bed.
That's kind of good though. Cause like you don't always have that. Like
no,
sometimes
exactly. And
if you don't use it and you're like, well, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow you're like, man, fuck. I don't
exactly.
feel like
and so that was the whole thing. That's what my wife was like, yeah, we'll just wake up really early in the morning. And I'm not that person. Like I'm not I'll just wake up at 4 a.m. or something and like get things done. Like I like to sleep. If I had it my way, I would sleep until midday and then I would just stay up all night. But anyway, so I'm knocking shit out and then I can't sleep. It's about 2 something, right? And I'm like, okay. I just set up, like we just got new carpet, right? And so I made the bed and like put everything back into the room. And so I lay down and my daughter had fallen asleep on the bed. And so I fall down, it's about 2, and I always watch, have I already told you this? I go to like tell my brain it's time to go to bed by turning on old Star Trek.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm rewatching Star Trek Voyager. I'm on like, I don't know what, season 4 or something.
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
And so I put that on. Yeah, like I tell my brain knows when Star Trek comes on, it's time to go to bed, and because I've seen them all.
Already seen it, yeah.
Exactly, I'm not missing anything.
I watch stuff that's like new, and then it gets me all like, whoa.
So I lay down 2:30, put it on, and I'm like, all right, I'm starting to go to sleep. Wham! My daughter kicks me in the fucking face hard as hell, like we're fighting, right? Like she literally, like, cause she's like, whoever marries her.
Night terrors?
Oh my, no. She's just that, and you got kids that just like sleep like everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Like that is my daughter. She can sleep anywhere. She puts herself to sleep at like 8:30 and she'll wake up like on a dime at like 6 in the morning. But while she's sleeping, dude, she is fucking everywhere. And I'm just like, oh my God. I had just fallen asleep. So now I'm like wide awake. It was like, I was like knocked awake. Right. And so I didn't go to bed till like 4. But then my wife had already planned, oh, we're just going to wake up early and go knock out all the stuff that we didn't get done. So she gets up at like 4:45, 5 in the morning, wakes me up to like get going. And like, so I maybe slept like an hour, maybe.
Oh, Jesus.
And
wait,
that's the
yesterday?
first day. No, that was
Okay.
the day before yesterday. And then yesterday is exactly what you were just talking about. I started watching that WeWork show on Apple TV called We Crashed.
Ben just mentioned the same thing.
Dude, it's good. It's
Oh,
good.
shit, okay.
So
It's
I
a
never liked
Netflix?
that guy. No,
Netflix?
it's Apple TV.
Oh, okay.
Apple TV Plus or whatever they call it. I don't know what they
Yeah.
call it.
No, I have it.
So yeah, it's like I've watched like a bunch of interviews with him and like all that. We used to like work out of a WeWork and stuff, you know. So it's like I know about him. I never liked that person. He always seemed so like cocky and just like arrogant, like in like a total dick way. But like watching the show and listening to, it's like Jared Leto, who's like an awesome. And I was like, that looks like Jared Leto, but it's not him, and because he's got all this makeup like on to look like the other guy. And
so it's not a real documentary. It's a
no. This is like a series, like a TV
series
show
based on
reality,
reality, basically.
like the Theranos one that's also out right now.
Fucking Siri just came on.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
said-
Oh, but anyway, so like in there, like the guy's like very inspirational, right? So you know how my brain works. Like you start talking about things, and I'm like, oh, what if we did it like this? And what if we built this thing? And oh, you could do this. And like I'm watching the show, just like getting all energized.
Yeah.
And I look over, and like everybody's asleep, and I'm like, fuck, like what time is it? It was like I don't know. It was probably like 10. And then I was like, do I watch another one? No, because then I'm gonna have to watch it again because they were watching it. And so yeah, and then by that time I try to go to sleep, but I just sat there for like 2 hours, maybe longer. I don't know. It had to be like at least 1 o'clock before I fell asleep last night.
Well, that's because you were watching something all interesting, getting your brain.
I know.
going.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't do my
Kinda-
normal pattern.
Kind of the same though.
So-
Have you seen? And we definitely don't have to like get into this or anything. But have you seen the Genius, the Kanye West documentary?
I haven't. My First
dude.
Million guys were talking about it, but I haven't. I was looking for it. Where's it at? What streaming service?
It's on
is it
Netflix.
It's on
Yeah.
Netflix. Okay.
It's one that I watched late, and I know we just randomly talked about Kanye like a couple of episodes ago, but dude, I have so much more respect. And actually, I didn't. I saw I hadn't caught up on the My First Million show. I actually listened to that this morning because I had seen it on there, and I was like, oh, I hadn't watched that yet. It's amazing. Everybody needs to watch it, in my opinion. There's so many lessons. And did you listen to that episode?
I listened to that episode, which made me want to watch it. Because
Okay.
normally I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna watch something on Kanye.
Well,
I like his music, but he seems like
I mean,
the
I
craziest
think
person.
I was like, oh, this will be interesting. Because, I mean, like, I wanted to see kind of what it was about, you know, just because, like we talked about, he's always doing something. It's bad. It's really good, in my opinion. And I think it's surprisingly good. I haven't finished it. But anyway,
I'll
it's
check
kind of
it
the
out.
same thing. Like, the inspirational part of it. And I'm like, well, I'm fucked now because now I'm even more hyped. And I was trying to, like, chill out. But anyway.
Have you
all right,
seen this
well,
before?
No.
you know
And you're
So,
talking about you're like
I am wearing a
velour.
blue.
Oh, I have seen that.
crushed velvet, and I have
It's
the
not
whole
crushed.
set. Well, it's still velvet. But
Still velvet.
They're listening. Like maybe they might not even be watching us. Why you gotta ruin it?
yeah, they'll
for
get all
me?
excited and they'll be like, "This
I know.
motherfucker isn't wearing
So
crushed."
like maybe 10 years ago at a random
remember
thrift
this.
store, I found this outfit. It was like a full velvet jogging suit, and I was like, and it was in my size, and I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm not buying this." It is the most comfortable thing ever, but it also totally reminds me. So you know our friend I met. His dad used to rock these like on the daily, but like with a gold chain.
Oh, hell
big
yeah,
big
dude.
Mexican dad wearing some like velvet jogger suits in all different colors with like big gold chains. Like got like the meatloaf hanging out. Like I was like, man,
Hell yeah.
he just looks like a baller boss, like mafia dad. You know, like so. That's what I'm going for today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, trying.
Dude, we need some gold chains.
I know. Like with our name.
So, we'll figure out something. Yeah,
big,
I like it.
Big portraits.
So I went to the fun size party without you. That was a bummer. We were like the most uncoordinated team of people trying to fucking make a trip to Austin. You had shit come up. I almost died. I got the worst food poisoning. The worst food poisoning I can recall. It was definitely like violent, like my throwing up. So I was like throwing up and fucking just shitting. It was, or pissing out of my ass.
Nice.
It was like, I was explaining to someone, I was like, you know those soap bottles that have the little top that just kind of pops straight up and you just can just like spray, you just squirt the soap out. Well, like fill that with water and then just run over it with a car, and like the intensity in which that sprays out of that little nozzle was my ass.
Nice.
And I was throwing up so hard, I was like screaming. Throwing up is so weird, man.
Oh.
You like,
Oh,
because you engage your vocal cords and you're not like trying. Oh, dude. And so my poor wife came in going, oh my God. Well, first my son came in and he was like, are you okay? I mean, I'm clearly like screaming into the toilet.
Get out.
I was telling him to get out. And he was just like chilling out in the bathroom. And I think I heard him gag a little bit. Yeah. No, I think he kind of gagged a little bit too. And I was like, just get out of here, bro. I'm fine. I'll be in there in a minute. I'm like, I'm fine. But then my wife came in and she was like, what? Is everything okay? And I was like, yeah. Throwing up. I'm just screaming while I'm throwing up.
Dude.
Yeah, I ate at a food truck.
It's another thing that we share because I cannot vomit quietly. It is a full-on rage scream because I will do everything in my power not to. I will hold it in forever. Like, I am not that person like, oh, I'll feel so much better after I throw up. I am not that person.
No. I woke up and I felt very bloated. And I kind of had the idea of like, like a little puke. I wasn't feeling great. I wanted to lay back down. It was like 4:30 a.m. And like I couldn't use the bathroom. Things just weren't uncapped yet. The sills were still on both ends. And yeah, but once they broke, dude, it was going hard. So anyway, that was from 4:30 a.m. and I kept going back and forth trying to lay down. And it was so it was the night before when you kind of realized you couldn't make it. And so Nicole booked a room for us because you and I, when we were going to go, I don't know, we were just going to like college style figure it out, which I realized once I was there, we totally could have done. But once my wife and son were going, I was like, all right, we're getting a room. So anyway, it was literally like just hours before that, my wife booked a room. And but anyway, so I'm back and forth for quite a while. And so this is Thursday, and you and I were going to go down like Thursday morning or Thursday, just kind of whenever we kind of got around to it. And anyway, it was about 1:30, and I was like, all right, it's getting down to the time where like I got to figure this out. And so I was like, I was talking to Nicole. I was like, hey, what do you think? And she was like, you're the one fucking throwing up and with diarrhea. Like, what do you think? And I was like, shit, I don't know. Like, I want to make it, but damn, I'm not doing great. And she was like, well, I mean, it either way is okay with me, but we're not getting our money back from the hotel. And I was like, that's all I needed to hear. I was like, all right, let's get the car loaded up. So I ended up driving down there. And I actually felt better. Like once I got up and got around, like I had gotten rid of everything in my body. So we drove down there. I go straight to the party and somebody like hands me a beer. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to nurse this thing. And I had to fend off shots all night. But it was a good shindig, man.
Where was it?
It was at some bar in Austin. I mean,
cool. That narrows it down. Thanks. There's only like 3 of them in Austin.
It's not one that because you don't do shit, and this is probably newer than the last time you were in Austin.
That's probably true.
Okay.
That was a good.
I can't remember what it was called. It was called. Yep, I could look it up, but it doesn't really matter. It was a cool little venue on the east side. It was good seeing the folks, like a lot of the old gang. I realized like they've been more serious about the pandemic even more recently than we have. Yeah. Like Dude. They were like, this is my first time out. And I was like, oh, it was my first time out like a year ago. And then it was back to normal for me.
Dude, no, I told you. I felt like it was like a year. It was probably a year now. Like we canceled our Hawaii vacation and like, cause they kept like canceling, like you couldn't go and all this kind of stuff. And then so we were just like, well, let's just go do something with the kids. So we go to Austin, like, and we rented the Airstream and like we all stayed in the Airstream together. Everything was closed. Like it was like full on California. Like everything was like, and like it's weird.
That's so crazy.
It's normal for everybody else, I feel like, but like where we live, it's like nothing ever happened, right? Like, which is good and bad, right? It's like that means everything's open.
Where the boundaries are.
Oh, I know, but it's like we're on the opposite side from where they are. Like we're not in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, and so.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Dude, Rockwall. I mean, for where I am in Rockwall, it was like nothing ever happened. People were just like, I'm not wearing this mask. Do you want me to wear this mask? I'll wear it if you need me to, but I'm not going to. I'm there
too, which is why I'm just now realizing, now that you're saying it, like, I guess I'm on the far end of the spectrum, like, that has been over it. So telling people that, I was telling people that, and I realized I was getting like some sort of like, oh, okay.
Oh, like, you're one of those hillbillies.
Me. Well, it's like people that already like know and like me, but it's like if maybe, I don't know, this is just like the tone I was getting, to where if I was just some random person, they'd be like, oh, you fucking prick or whatever. Like, oh, you're a fucking right-wing dickhead.
No, you're the one. Yeah, you're the one causing all the problems for all of us. You started this, Steve.
Which is very interesting because, like, I don't know if that anybody, you know, I've heard, I know that some people like, definitely there's like extremes on both sides, and I know some people feel that way. But like the reason that we don't give a fuck over here is because literally nobody's suffering from anything anymore. Well, and then like, and the people who do get it, like whatever the new variant is or whatever, I quit just paying attention altogether, because like I've known people to get it, like, oh, I got it, and then like they're fine. And so like it just continues to put that stamp of like, all right, like just continue living this. Like it's not bad that like we took all those precautions, because, you know, it got bad and it was bad for some people or whatever. But now I just, you know, fucking living my life.
The thing I mean, there's two extremely stupid yet things I hope that the world takes away from this whole thing is, one, to wash your fucking hands and don't be dirty, right? Which is weird. That, dude. You have to like tell an adult that, right?
No. I've seen this for years. It's surprising though.
But the other piece is like, I feel like the rest of the world, like Asia specifically, when they don't feel good, they wear a mask because they respect the people around them, even though they don't know them, right? They're just like, I don't want to spread my germs. I know I don't feel good, you know?
Well, that's where you get the idiot version that people probably think you are when you're, you know, like, there is that idiot version of the person that's like, I'm just going to go around and get everybody. If I'm sick, I'm going to get sick.
Yeah.
Or something like that, right?
No, exactly. And that's what I mean. That's the piece that I hope that we take away from it. It's like, hey, you don't feel good, but you still got to go be in the world. Yeah. Wear a mask. Don't make everyone else in the world suffer with you.
Right.
You know,
because you're an asshole.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's just so, like, it's just like a respect thing. It's like, seems so simple, but which is maybe a good segue.
All right.
Which I never do. You're the segue guy. But I saw this.
No,
thing,
my segue is I just it's a hard segue, and I say, oh, that's a good segue, and then I talk about something totally different. You're
like, I was vomiting and I had diarrhea. Well, that's a good segue, and we'll start talking about this.
The war in Ukraine.
Well, it is about the war in Ukraine. But I don't even know what I was reading, but I wrote it down, which I never write in here. Like, I feel bad. You're always the one coming up with the agenda. But I saw this thing that David Beckham, you know, like famous like soccer god kind of person, like he gave his Instagram account to this doctor in Ukraine so that that doctor in Ukraine could post like what was actually happening, the things that they need, supplies that they need. Like, here's what, like, just like basically
because
like,
of his follower,
because he's got
base.
millions of followers, right? And I was like, that is so fucking simple, cool, and actually probably better than real fucking news and everybody just translating what they think is actually happening because they're not like in the thick of it. Yeah. And I was like thinking, I was like, man, like with like maybe 10 celebrities, if 10 celebrities did this, imagine like the reach that they would have. And like, you get like a doctor, you get like a maybe someone in the military, you get someone in the politics, you get someone like, you know, like the teachers.
You said it was
and like
his Instagram or his Twitter?
It was his Instagram.
Okay.
There's a link in our doc, but
I was gonna see how many followers that he has.
But I don't know. I don't know. It seems so dumb simple.
72 million followers.
72 million, dude. And a lot. I mean, obviously, like, he's from the UK, so it's like,
they'll repost,
you know, like
stuff and all that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, think about that shit. Just like Kim Kardashian plus David Beckham plus whatever. Like, now you've got like 500 million people.
I don't want to shit on Kim Kardashian because I don't really like.
I'm not talking about her. I'm saying
no, but it makes me think. It makes me think. Well, that was kind of my point. Like, it makes me wonder if some of these people are like, oh, hang on, this is my. You
don't want to taint their name type thing or ruin or get unfollowed or something.
Yeah, some shit. It's more important to have.
So celebrity that gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like that cares more about the world than they do themselves. I think that with
badass,
a very small amount of people like that actually have this kind of following. Not even like maybe even think like Mr. Beast or something like that, like a YouTuber and stuff like that. Like, imagine like he gave up his channel.
If you listen to him, he doesn't have any idea what's going on in the world except for like.
No, that's not. But that's the point. Is it doesn't matter.
But why would he? But why would? If you don't know what's going on, it's probably
because he's a human being.
Smart.
He's still got parents and stuff that like literally.
If you don't know what's going on, you don't. There's a. I would imagine.
So you're saying they live in a bubble and they like don't even care about anything outside of their bubble.
You're saying care. He doesn't know, so like there's an opportunity for him to like give his credentials to like some political narrative, but he doesn't know. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's just more of like,
I still think it's dope. I agree with you. Oh, by the way, like I agree. I think it's badass. I think it's so cool that he was just like, hey, just use this tool of mine that I've amassed.
No, but that's the thing. It's like there has to be at least 5 celebrities in the world with a following that know what's going on and give a shit and want to help.
That should be him. He should be like, hey, he should.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, exactly. Like, imagine he did a PSA. Yeah, I mean, he probably has in his cell phone like 5 other people. I mean, his wife is a Spice Girl. She's probably more famous than him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know. But
Spice
I don't know.
Girl is his wife.
She's Posh Spice.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Oh man,
I don't remember who Sporty Spice was, but that would be funny. Dude, he's pretty badass though. I mean, he's like this super good looking dude. I don't even. Does he still play soccer or football? Or
I think he retired. There was a while there that he was kind of getting sold around in different teams,
right?
But I think he's retired.
But he's like a good-looking dude with like tattoos all up his neck and even some like on the side of his face.
Well, and he also has a sense of humor. Like, I've seen him on like a bunch of shows and stuff where it's like they'll prank his ass and be like, "Hey, look at this statue we put of you," and it'll be like the worst looking, ugliest statue like ever, you know. And he'll have like a gut,
pretty funny,
you know, and stuff like. But like he's been on so many shows, like, yeah. But I mean, I don't know if that's his real him, but like he seems like a cool guy. I don't know. That whole thing just was like, the simplicity of it just was like, oh my God, this is needed in the world. Like, what else? What else could you do that's that simple? You know, that's where my brain went.
Yeah. Well, and to give it to like a doctor who probably didn't have like a political agenda or narrative. He's just like, no, I mean, like, people are fucked up. Like, here's some of the shit.
Well, because even with charities and stuff, right? It's like people were like, oh, well, we'll just give to the Red Cross or we'll give to whatever. And like, you don't know that they're getting the thing that the doctor
That's-
actually needs, right?
So that's kind of the point I was trying to make earlier, because all of these have like their own narrative or their own agenda, and there's usually some sort of tie or connection. Maybe not so much the Red Cross, but I almost feel like maybe also there is. It's like when people give to like Goodwill or whatever, and then they realize like their political leanings or whatever, and they're like, well, those your political leanings don't align with mine. I thought I was just like helping people that needed help.
Yeah, didn't realize that you were doing a 100% profit store and making
or that
hundreds
you
of millions of dollars a
hate
year.
gay people or some shit like that, right?
No, I'm with you. But
Well, that's
anyway,
cool, man.
You're productizing it. You're like thinking of the holes. I was just thinking of the dream.
No. Well, actually, I feel like it was a reversal of roles there.
I know. Normally I shit on your ideas. But speaking of, maybe it's not for this, but
I love that transition.
So today is our friend Bo Liebens' his birthday.
Oh, sweet.
So I had texted him, and I'd been meaning to talk to him about some ideas, like some stuff that we're gonna build, because he was always been my guy that I write, and I'm like, what do you think of this idea? And he shits all over it, and he tells me everything that's wrong with it. And like I wrote him and I showed him, and he was like, yeah, okay. I was like, wait,
wow,
that's it?
Is he just getting old?
That's what I was like. I was like, something's wrong. I was like, are you high? I was like, I was like, no, like,
you're
this
like
sucks.
shitting on your own idea at that
Yeah,
point. This
now
idea isn't that good, Bo.
Yeah, now I'm rethinking the whole thing. I'm like, this isn't gonna work now.
Yeah, you're like, never mind, just forget it.
Yeah,
like,
if he doesn't hate it, then it's not gonna work. So I don't know, but no, it's just I don't even know how we transitioned.
You're like, you missed all the holes.
The shitting on ideas. That's what it was.
Oh yeah,
So,
okay.
But yeah.
Hey, one thing that I thought was funny, I kind of had this realization, but hey, by the way, dude, congrats on happy 21st episode.
Oh.
You remember when I told you I talked with this dude Evan Vanader, and he has like a business sort of Instagram sort of influencer channel. I mean, he's like got a lot of followers and shit. Anyway, I caught up with him that one time, and we were just chatting, and he was like, hey dude, just 21's the magic number. And I was like, what's that mean? And he's like, yeah, like 90% of people don't make it past 21. So if you make it past 21 episodes, maybe we have to make it to the next one. Maybe I'm just
okay. Yeah, I'm done. This is my last one.
Yeah,
I'm done. Fuck this.
But anyway.
No.
And I knew I was going to do that because I just started to say something. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah. No.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Sorry, folks.
But I did. So from.
Wait.
Okay, cool.
Can you remember that thought?
Yes.
Okay. What I realized from editing, because you were talking about shitting on ideas, is that I say yeah all the time. You'll be talking to me like, yeah. And then you say no all the time. I'll be like, I'll say something, you go, no. And then you start talking, no. I was like, that's really interesting.
No.
Negative ass motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is fitting personality-wise. It's like, it's like our yin and yang, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, but what I was going to say is, we talked about the Turning Red movie last episode. Well, I've been asking people about it now because now, like, I had no idea that there would be a different perspective from
was interesting
from watching it.
In my opinion.
So I was asking Amy and Tim, our other friends, like because they when I went to my daughter went to go play with them, and it was on the TV, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Let me ask you what you thought. And she was like, well, I love it, except for there was no warning. So I had to explain to my child what a pad was, like during the cartoon. You know what I mean? So it was more like they didn't see any of the things you saw or any of the stuff that like even like I was seeing, but that was more just like could have used some warning here, Disney. Like I had to have a whole conversation with my kid that I wasn't ready to have with them.
It is
since they're
interesting.
Young.
That's a good point. Like I didn't really put that much thought into it, but just a little bit of thought. Like you're like, oh yeah, we mentioned a couple things that some people consider are really like, I guess it's kind of a big conversation for everybody. But yeah, if you hadn't even started or people don't know or whatever, it's like, What's this thing? A period?
Yeah, so that part was interesting. So apparently there's, I don't know. I guess you always wonder, or at least I always do. Like, did they go into it knowing it's going to be controversial, and that's why they do it? And it's because it's going to create press, and it's going to create like people talking about it. It's going to create whatever. Like, is that part of the strategy?
Probably.
Or like, it's one of those things. It's like, are they that smart, or
that's an interesting,
or is it luck? You know, kind of thing.
Well, now I am really curious. But my thinking would be that they're like thinking through the story, and then there's these pieces that they flag, and that they kind of go through, and like it's probably a combination of like legal and marketing, and they're like, you know, what's the balance? Because I mean, if they know something's going to be a little bit controversial, I would imagine they would be like, yeah, cool, more people will talk about it, but not too controversial.
Well, but do you think of it like, I mean, so like Harry Potter, for example, like you think they were like assumed like every Christian in the world was going to like try to ban them because they're talking about sorcery and magic and things like that? Or was that just like a total random thing that happened?
Oh, that did happen?
Oh, yeah. There were like burning books and like all kinds of crazy things because it was the devil.
Well,
you know,
and that to me is like more of an extreme where you just go like, yeah, they know it's going to happen, but can't worry about all those dumb fucks. Like, I mean,
no, it's just more of a.
So I mean,
do you think it through beforehand?
So
right?
Different. Like that couldn't even exist at all. Like the whole thing is about sorcery and magic and all this, right?
No, I know. So I
get your point.
I mean, but I guess it's like even like
but
any
if you think
sci-fi
back
or
to
whatever.
like classic. Like, just think about, like, Fantasia. There's a wizard. Mickey's a wizard, and he has all the brooms, like, dancing and all this shit. And
Mickey's not a wizard. He works for a wizard, and the wizard goes away, and he puts the wizard's hat on.
That's right. And he starts fucking everything up. Hey, dude, good job. Hey. Proud of you.
I saw that at the like the planetarium thing where you like lay back and like
did you trip on any
I didn't.
hallucinogenics?
This was before I did even drink.
Yeah.
So
I was tripping hard on a beer.
Yeah, I drank some Gatorade beforehand. It was wild, but no, it was beautiful to like do it like that, to where you're just like, you know, watching it in the sky kind of thing. But sorry, my dog's going crazy.
I would love to actually do just like a little bit of like mushrooms and go view it in that way.
I wish I could do that. For me, it's like it scares me. Like I think
you've never done the mushrooms, have you?
No.
Yeah, seems scary, but it just makes everything brighter.
Everything's scary.
I mean, depending like on if you like fucking eat like a shit ton. Like the microdosing thing's kind of nice because it's just like, you know, everything's a little brighter, a little nicer. But yeah, if you ate a shit ton and then you watch that, you'd be like, fuck, am I a fucking cartoon? I guess. I've actually never tripped balls that hard. I've tried, but I don't want to go over the top. It's like you're trying to hit that balance of like, I just want to see the other side, but I want to come back like before too long, and I haven't made it yet.
I don't want to. I have no interest.
You need to. I was thinking about that last night, actually. You need a ayahuasca trip.
I see. That's one of those
And here's
things.
the reason why. When I text you and I'm like, what's up, bro? And you're like, fuck my life. And like that happens enough times. And I'm like, we need a ayahuasca trip.
So, dude, like that whole thing scares me probably more than anything, because it's like something as simple as weed. I have literally had a full panic attack,
too many edibles,
and passed out and thought I died. And this hasn't happened once. This has happened multiple times. And so if something that small,
because you were with bad influences.
The first time 100%, but the other times were just pretty normal, and it just doesn't do it for me. So, and that is the ayahuasca thing is like, it's more extreme and from this. And so if I'm already freaking the fuck out over here, and I don't even want to imagine. Well, so there's two things. There's that. The other is like what I said earlier was I don't want to fucking throw up ever in my life, and apparently that's part of it, right? So,
yeah,
but
that's okay. We'll get it on.
You're not the first person that's tried to talk me into it. Julio back in the day, he did it and came back. Honestly, and this is the other reason that I have issues with it. So, I don't know if he even watches this, but. Like, because we used to basically have an agency together. No. So he went and did it, came back and was telling me all these stories about like Buddha came out of his stomach and was flying in front of him and was talking to him and like this and that and then it was like, I'm like, well, that's cool. We got this project due on Friday, right? You're going to have that done? He's like, well, I just got to, like refocus. It was like instantly became this like crazy hippie that was just like, and I was just like, okay. Well, it was like, I was like business guy. I'm like, okay, so we got work to do. When is this trip going to end?
Probably not a great idea to do it like right before there's like a deadline.
So that was always just like, well, okay, well, that's going to like ruin any kind of productivity or anything that's going on if I was to do that. So I don't know. I'm scared of it.
Well, yeah, you got a plan, I think, better than Julio planned. But, okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe. What else are we talking about today?
I was waiting for you to be like, here's a good transition.
No, I don't know how to transition into that one.
Well, you may not want to be high, but we are signed up for Web Whiskey Weekend 7.
Oh, yeah.
So there will be some tipsiness.
I like whiskey.
Yeah, honestly, wasn't sure. You're not a big drinker.
No.
And I more recently in life am not as big of a drinker, but I definitely have like lots of like, I got some good shit, just like even behind me here. I got actually Web Whiskey Weekend was what got me into whiskey. Well, kind of. I was a little bit into it before that, but then once you like get around a bunch of people that know what they're talking about, you get to try. That was the big thing. I got to try. You get to try basically everything because everybody. So the requirement is basically you bring 2 bottles of something. So everybody brings 2 bottles, and it used to be that you left them, or maybe not. There's been some conversation about whether that was how it worked or not. But anyway, everyone brings stuff, and like you don't just bring cheap garbage. And I think there might even be some rules that you can't bring like some standard label bullshit or whatever.
Man, I didn't even read this at all. I didn't know I was supposed to bring anything. I just signed up for it.
You got to bring 2 bottles.
Okay.
Which means you got to
Don't let me forget to bring two bottles.
Yeah. Good thing you've got me with you. I'll handle this one.
So I don't ever drink really. So one, it's like I didn't drink till I was 25 or 24, 25. And then I drank a lot. Like I made up for all the lost time.
Yeah, which was always weird because when I met you, you were in like your drinking a lot phase.
Yeah.
And so when you told me, you're like, I never drank till I was 25.
No, actually, no. When I met you, I didn't drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like we'd have those parties and stuff at the loft and all that kind of stuff. Like I'd never drink. Right. I'd always go out with you. I was the weirdo that ordered Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, that was before we were really like connected as much.
Yeah.
But then like a couple of years went by and you started drinking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do remember times when you were like drinking your ass off.
I mean, it happened. And then, I don't know. It was one of those things. I am a social person, meaning like I'll drink socially, but I don't ever drink here at home, like by myself or even like with my wife or anything.
Probably a good thing.
I don't ever think about it.
That's probably a good thing, man.
I don't know. But then the problem is, it's like, okay, we're going to go do this thing on this weekend, and like I haven't drank at all, so like I'm going to die.
No. You'll be fine.
But I do like whiskey. It was the whole point of that. Like my favorite drink is an old fashioned. I have tried some like Japanese whiskeys that I was like, oh my God, this actually tastes delicious, even like without anything.
Well, I've got some really schmancy ones that are kind of hard to.
Because, it's like whiskey's the difference. It's like you got like one is just like alcohol that burns your throat to death. And these other ones like have this like little sweet hint to it. And you're kind of like,
yeah, that's the cheap shit that people like shoot. Or sometimes people think it's like a nice one, but they haven't really had nice whiskey or a nice bourbon or scotch. I am a ignorant whiskey person.
No.
I mean, I was too. I was like, when the first time I went, I knew of a couple of things, but then you go and That's the thing. You get to see what you don't know, and then it's like the beginning of your education. And then you're like, okay, because what happens is you're like, it doesn't mean that you're like, now I'm a fucking aficionado. You're like, okay, I think I would like a couple for the house, just to be at the house. Not that you drink all the time, but for when you want them, they're like nice. Or like I've had a few that were like harder to find, and when I had some, somebody come over that knew something about whiskey, or I might take it somewhere and be like, hey, you guys want to try this? They're like, ooh, shit. And then you get to it's just like an experience kind of thing. And some of them are like, so last time I was there, I had a Van Pappy. I'm forgetting the whole name of that. Wait, that's not what you call it. Pappy Van Winkle. Jesus. Anyway,
I knew what
like
you were talking about, strangely.
It was like Van Pappy. I had a 20-year, and so I think everybody thought last year was going to be the last year. And so there was some celebratory stuff. And somebody cracked open a 20-year, which was like, I don't know, $2,000 or something like that. And got to try it. And I was like, all right, I'm glad I got to try that. Like, it wasn't anywhere near my favorite that I've ever had or anything. But, there's just this nostalgia to a Pappy.
I learn everything from TV and movies, right? So it's like, I know of that brand from the movie Interns with Vince Vaughn, and
right, yeah,
and then another Vince Vaughn movie, which was Swingers, where he's like, when they go to Vegas and he orders whiskey, he's like, any Glen will do, like a Glenlivet's. So that's whiskey, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's Scotch actually.
Oh, see, I don't know
which
the
is
difference
whiskey
between bourbon, Scotch, and whiskey.
It's all whiskey.
Okay. See,
Bourbon's interesting. We don't need to get into it on here, but there's like all these rules. First of all, bourbon's only a. Well, we could, but I'm gonna butcher it too much. I'd be embarrassed. But basically, it's like there's a very specific recipe to a bourbon, and it's also like only an American form of whiskey. It's not possible to make bourbon outside of, America.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I can't tell you what. There's some good documentaries and shit, if anybody cares. Don't listen to me.
You wrote on here body trackers. What were you thinking about that?
Do you still regularly, do you have an Apple Watch? I can't even remember.
My dad asked if he could have it, so I gave it to him.
Sweetie. Which means that you didn't give a shit enough. Like,
so I will, not really.
Yeah.
But I used to have one that I loved, and they don't make them anymore. Nike, I feel like, made the best, like, one. It was super early, and they even had like what's his name? Rodriguez, the pro skater.
The skater? I don't know if I knew that.
There was a whole commercial about it, and it was all about filling up the dots. There was like 10 dots on it, and it would go from like red to yellow to green, and all you had to do was look at it to see where you were. So it's like the apples fill in the rings, right? So it didn't have like a bunch of stats. You could click into it and like see stuff or whatever, but it was just like this silicone kind of like bracelet. Could tell the time, and I could see where I was with my dots. I like wore that out. Like I was like, I got to go for a walk. Like I haven't reached my thing. Right. But now it's almost like it's, what is it? Cognitive dissonance or whatever. Like it's almost like too much now in like the Apple Watch and the Fitbits, and like, cause I've had all of them, but like they just don't stick because I feel like there's just too much. I'm like, oh, I'm worried about stress now. Or I'm worried about like my temperature. I'm worried about like, and it's just like, I just need the one thing. Give me the one thing and I'll fill it up and it's perfect and it's done. And it totally was a habit for me when we were in California. But the problem with that one is like, and I'm sure that's why they don't make them anymore. I went through 3 of them. They just kept breaking.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that one because there's a lot of people that like, they had like a following of people who really liked the Nike band or whatever it was called. Their software,
Fuel Band.
Nike Fuel Band. Yeah. I always thought that their apps kind of sucked though. It was like they were like on your iPhone, but they were made in Flash or some shit.
That's really interesting because I always loved like all the
they were
stuff
pretty.
that was Nike. Yeah. I like pretty. For me,
I do too.
For me, when it comes, when it comes to stuff like this, right? Like when you're dealing with like health statistics and like, you know, and like all these things that it's like a doctor and type stuff is going to tell you, like it almost, because you're not a doctor, you almost like, you just like, you think you care about it, but really you don't. And you're just like, yeah, well, I know that my calorie burn was this. Cool. Don't really give a shit now. I'm going to go on with the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like the prettiness made me like go, ooh, look at that animation following that whole thing. Oh, that's really beautiful. What is that? But they also didn't show you 8 billion stats. They showed you like one. And then if you had to like find where all the little details were. So they made it like very low priority and they focused in on this one thing. But I'm with you. It was extra pretty, not like extremely functional. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's how they made up for it, you know?
That's an interesting point because I agree. I think, and obviously, I mean, everybody's got different goals or whatever. What I realized for myself is like, I don't get any value out of these things, but I think it's because I already do the things that these things are trying to help most people do that don't. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, I'm not worried about getting fucking 10,000 steps in. Like, I'm relatively active. And if there's a day that I don't, like, it's just a rare day and I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna go outside necessarily and be like, well, I gotta get that in.
Yeah. But you're in a different place than I'd say the rest of the world. Right? Like, especially now that like everybody works from home, like what's it called? Like goblin mode. Have you heard this or whatever? Or it's
I don't
just
know
like,
about this.
What's it? It's called goblin something. But essentially it's like what we've all turned into, wearing sweatpants and shit like every day, and like we don't like clean ourselves, and we got crazy hair, and like, you know, and it's like we all work from home now. We used to work, like, not even worry about 10,000 steps because we got to get to the car. We got to go do this. Then we're going to get here. Then we're going to go walk to lunch. And then we're going to walk around the office. And we're going to do this.
Yeah. Good point.
Now it's like I walk from the couch to over here and I'm working, you know, and it's like I can not get 10,000 steps easy if I didn't actually try, you know? Yeah. Where you wake up early and you're fucking doing your ice baths and work out and go do your stuff and running around everywhere. And like you're the 1%ers. You know, so it's different.
To that point, though, that's the thing I could use. So versus like achieving certain goals, it's just like compliance. Like, so to your point on like the ice bath, like I'm not doing that as much as I should because it's been getting warm and I have to go buy ice because I don't want to buy like a $5,000 fucking, you know, cooling bath where I have nowhere to put. And so it's easy to get lazy on, but I do get sucked into gamification sometimes. Like I couldn't tell you exactly when, but it's like, if there's something I start and there's a gamification aspect, like streaks are like the biggest thing for people in general, but like, I think they work for me too. They work for me as long as I can get one started. Like if I can't get past a few days, then fuck it. I just don't give a fuck. Like Headspace. Like I can't meditate, which is like probably the biggest thing that I want to do that I just got to fucking do. I haven't been able to successfully yet. But anyway, so with like the ice baths, I think I don't know if I talked about this. So I did the ice bath when it was frozen outside where I did the Instagram of it. And I don't know if this sounds like arrogance, not the right word, but like, so I put it on social media, but it was only because I was going to put it on social media that I was going to make myself do it. Like I wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it because it's fucking like at that temperature, it's more painful than like the normal. Like I could go dump as much ice in there and it's not going to be that cold, but when it actually freezes over, it is fucking painful. And so like I wanted to do it, but the only way I could make myself do it is that if I like showed that I was doing it or something. Yeah, it's a really kind of weird psychological thing that I hadn't figured out.
It's the accountability thing.
That's totally right.
It's total. I mean, it's literally the psychology.
It's like I created accountability for people that weren't. I didn't even need to be accountable to.
No,
but once I did it,
because
it was like you did it.
Because it's a man of your word type of a thing, you know. And it's like if you put it out there, like, and now it's out there, like you have to. right? And it's
so
just
what you're
like,
saying is exactly it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say it first. I just recorded and did it. But what you're saying is exactly right. I was trying to like stick to my own word, I guess. And the only way I could do that was if do you get where I'm going? Why this is kind of weird?
dude, I mean,
it was like
me and you used to have the same
retroactive
thing.
accountability.
That's what's interesting is you're doing it retro is like, it's exactly like what we used to do with like when we were kind of working on the super nudge is like you would literally send me like do 20 push-ups randomly, right? And I'm like, I don't want to do fucking 20 push-ups, but like I also don't want to let you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like a coach. I don't want to let my coach down. I don't want to let my dad down. I don't want to let my friends down. And so if they ask me to do something, I want to do it, you know? And so then you'd write back and be like, did you do it? And be like, yes. If I said no, then I'm going to feel like a piece of shit writing back no. So it's like I felt like I had to, you know what I mean? And it's like it's the same thing. It's like I feel like that's the piece of it that like is the gamification. But it's the hardest part for me is like I like even with this one that we're talking about with the fuel band, I was into the streaks, right? Because it was just get green, and there was a combination of like steps and calories and blah 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 that equals green, right? Versus like you had to do kind of each one, and that habit creation has been the hardest thing in the world for me, right? Like consistency is like my crux. It's my problem. So I think that's where the wearables and stuff have like
Extra value.
well, they could. I don't think that they do yet. I don't think that they do a good job of doing the thing that they're trying to do. I think they do a good job of showing you a bunch of shit that's not useful. Right?
Yeah.
Like, to your point, like the 10,000 steps, like it's already been proven, like that's not fucking anything. That doesn't mean shit. If you take fucking 10,000 extremely slow, soft ass steps, then you don't fucking sweat at all or do anything. You are not active. Like you could just have a pretty decent sized house and you went to the bathroom a few times and then went to the kitchen and then went to whatever. Like that's not anything. But it's like to become actually healthy, which is what like the point of all these are, is like we're an obese society and like everything, you know, and it's just like, how do we fix that? Just sticking the band on isn't the thing. I know it's the first step, right? Like every trainer I've ever had, it's like you got to write down your workouts. You got to write down like what you ate. You got to write down all this stuff, like actually journal it. And I feel like
where you like lose everybody.
But I feel like this is doing the journaling for you, right? And so that's why I'm saying, to me, this is just the first part. But there's got to be something else that like like makes it happen or makes it worthwhile for you. Because like now, that's when I was filling my circles does not do it for me.
Well, the last one I used was I just went back to I got my mother a Fitbit, which she didn't really use, so I was like, I'm gonna use that. And I really got in the habit of like using it just to make sure I got the data every day, and I would be bummed out if I forgot to wear it one day because I was like, I didn't capture data. But I never actually did anything with the data. Like it would tell me certain things. Like I got all these badges and shit, and I don't know, I found it kind of interesting, but it just wasn't like enough for me. Like at a certain point I just was like, I'm just not going to wear this anymore. Very intentional.
My dad, before he took my Apple Watch, was like hardcore Fitbit person. And
I remember him and your wife used to be.
Yeah, well, and like my dad became obsessed with the leaderboard. Like, so he'd be like my cousins and my mom or my wife and everyone were like all on there. And like, that was like his whole goal. It was just like, how do I beat them? You know? And so it was like, it's like he figured out a motivator, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's that kind of stuff. It's like, how do you create the change, right? That worked. You know, that's a good piece of gamification, but I don't know. It is.
Well, I have a funny story about that type of gamification. Many years ago, I started a handful of the dudes from Cohabitat. I think this is when one of the times you were pretty much living somewhere else, I think. But did you ever go to Cohabitat?
I went to a party with you once before.
Okay, so you really only went there like a couple of times?
For like happy hours and stuff. I'd never actually done anything.
Whenever that thing, that place was an amazing thing for Dallas. And I was there all the time because I lived really close and I helped I think I designed the website. Right. Maybe I helped build it. I don't remember. But like me and like Jacob Morse and like this guy Stormy Shippey and a handful of people were just like these regulars that didn't actually office there, but we're like, we just pretended like we had all access. And basically everybody did have all access to like the downstairs. And I guess it was Blake or someone who was like, hey, let's start a little running club. And everybody, there were no badass runners really. And so it was pretty like low bar. We all just went and ran on Katy Trail. And I got the little Nike tracker thing that goes on your shoe laces or whatever. And then Jacob and Stormy and a handful of people were like, hey, let's start a little thing and we'll we'll be on the same leaderboard. And so it got down to where it was like me and Jake. Well, I say got down to it. Like it didn't take long before it was like kind of just me and Jacob going back and forth and Stormy a little bit. And then one day I just decided to so it'd be like, I'm ahead a mile. He's ahead a mile. Maybe I get ahead 2 miles. Then he catches up and then I get ahead a mile and then he gets back ahead a mile or just something like that. We're kind of going back and forth. And then one day I was just feeling good. And I ran like 6 miles or some shit. And then everybody just gave up. There was no more leaderboard after that. It was just like I hung out and like tried to even like slow it down because I was like, all right, catch up. Let's keep this going. And everybody was just like, fuck it. There's no point.
That's interesting.
And it was really interesting because then in that single moment, in that single like running session where I decided I was like going to show off a little bit, I ruined the whole thing even for myself because nobody wanted to play anymore.
Well, it was probably motivating you at the same time too, right? So you kind of fucked yourself at the same time, right?
That's what I mean. I fucked it. But anyway, but obviously like, I don't know if you remember that time, but I just kind of got into it and it didn't really matter. But at the beginning, I mean, I had fun, like kind of doing that leaderboard thing. It was just funny. I just won't, that's the thing I always remember when we were kind of going back and forth. And I was like, oh, it's so exciting. And you'd see somebody beat you and you'd be like, fuck, all right, I'm going to get back ahead of you. And then you go too hard and people are just like, fuck you, man. You just go play by yourself.
I think that's it. It's like, and this will never happen, but like, there's so many different smart things that we have in the house and stuff now. Like
that aren't connected.
That don't connect to each other. They're all in their own ecosystem. I was gonna bring that up earlier. They're all just kind of like all over the place. But like, imagine like you're sitting on the couch, and like your Alexa goes, "Hey, Jacob Morris just passed you on your mile, competition." And you'd be like, yeah, fuck that. Let me get my shoes. Like it's like, you know what I mean?
Imagine the next level where it's kind of got like, it's next level AI where it's like, hey, you're on the couch and it realizes you just turned on Netflix. Kind of to your point, you were talking about some of this shit a couple weeks ago. It knows you just turned on Netflix and it sees that Jacob just started a run. And it says, hey, before you get started, Jacob Morris just started running. He's based on, his trajectory, he's going to outdo you today or some, whatever. It's just like, yeah, you've got like a coach. It's like a real coach. It's like, I know you're about to do that. However, or it's like, maybe it knows like kind of your normal eating routine or whatever. And what would even be more badass is like you not having to track it. But we were talking about the sonar. If sonar could actually recognize like the emotion of like, and I imagine this is like kind of possible, even though it sounds insanely crazy, but it like knows the motion of like eating and chewing but it's getting it based on sonar. And so it knows like your typical eating habits. And it goes, it's like, hey, before you have lunch today, why don't you go do this? But then in addition, it kind of says like, hey, the value of doing this before you eat is it's going to put you in a hypercaloric deficit, blah, blah, blah. I'm just making shit up right now, but it's like, here's why you would do it. Because you want this outcome, and just eating now and maybe running later versus like doing this now and then coming back to like a meal is going to start to give you, that's the thing. We all get all this information and data, but then we all just like get our like tips on how to live our best lives like off Instagram or fucking some shit, right? Mm-hmm. But if we had like actual like this, AI coach, that'll come one day. I think that'll be really interesting. That'll get people not fat. Maybe.
Also, where was I going with that? You made me think of something, then my brain just went, nah. I don't know.
Talking about instead of like starting, it was like Netflix, instead of starting the show, like Jake was about to start
I don't know where I was going, but I do think that so I've been watching all these home automation videos on YouTube where like all these like smart devices and stuff one of the ones I kept seeing everywhere, which you made me think of when you were talking about the couch thing, this guy has one, these like pressure sensors on his bed. So it's like, it knows like when he gets up or whatever, like it starts the day and starts playing music and like opens the shades and does all this kind of stuff, right? Like,
I love that shit.
But like I always see that on the bed. I think it actually be really interesting to put those on the couch, to be like, you have been on the couch for 12 hours today. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's time to go outside. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like I need those kind of warnings, but
and then if we use like the coach, like we've talked about this like back with Super Nudge, it's like you've got different styles of coaches. There's like the one that's like, hey fatty, you gonna sit there all day? How about let's not, you know?
No, I mean, imagine that pressure sensor talks to like your smart TV and it just pops up on the TV or pauses it for you and just like a message pops up and says it, you know, like that's what I mean. There's so many things.
Dude, here's what would be really fun. And this may sound totally stupid. I'm just dreaming. Maybe this is like just a fake movie, but it's like, it just pops up that message and says, hey, just FYI at the end of the set. Well, I was going to just say it turns off the TV, but maybe it's like nice. It's like, hey, guess what? This episode's over in 7 minutes. This is the last episode you're watching. And then it turns it off and you try to turn it back on. And it's like, sorry, bro, get your ass up, go do something. You can come back later.
So on these automation videos, apparently that you can do that. So this person has done that. Apparently he like set it up because he has trouble sleeping as well. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like these like adult parental like settings, but for himself. And so he has it set up where it's like the TV will turn off, even down to like the power will go off, the Wi-Fi will turn off. You know what I mean? Like all these types of things where it's like, no, I'm making it to where you literally cannot do the thing because you said you didn't want to do it, you know? So.
Right, because the time when you'd make that, when you're like, it's everybody who's like, I want to eat better. And then like come 2 days later and you're getting in the fridge at midnight, you know, eating a bag of shit.
Bags of shit.
But
you eat pieces of shit for breakfast? Gross.
But yeah, you make that decision when you're all in and you're committed. But then like when you're not, it's like you made this decision. Sorry. It's like whitelisting apps. Like there's an app that I used to use, which would keep you from getting on any like social media for you'd set the time. And it would just, not whitelist, but like blacklist certain things. And it would use like the terminal. You have to, I don't know, go through terminal or something. And basically like there's nothing you could do. You could restart your computer. It doesn't matter. Like you can't go to those websites for like an hour. It's like same thing for the fridge.
So I think didn't we mention it in the last episode, that Jake Knapp book, Making Time?
Yeah.
So one of the other things in that book that I used, and it actually really, really worked for me for a minute there, was it's like, okay, everyone's like, I'm going to like delete Facebook and delete Instagram, delete all these things from my phone. And then like a week later, you fucking just add it back because you needed to do something or somebody sent you a message or whatever, right? And he's like, so let's be realistic about it. Move it to like page 4 or 5 of like your phone, right? And just because it's not there, the second that you open your phone totally makes a difference. And it totally does. Like it works. Like I'm still get on them all the time. But like when I'm like, you know, out of reaction, I just open up my phone and it's not there. I don't think, oh, I better go make a story of dumb shit on Instagram, you know? So I don't know. There's all these little weird tweaks and stuff. But anyway, back on the data doctor thing too. That's been on my board for a long time. I wrote data doctors, where I just want a list of doctors that care and want to go through all of this data that we track of ourselves. Like,
well, the thing is, if it was, the going through it part wouldn't have to be that hard if the technology just allowed us to like kind of take everything from all these different sources, right? Like it could have basically like the dashboard view, but because you don't know what the fuck any of that shit means, it's like the doctor is like, oh yeah, your dashboard. But what they would have to be okay with is like, a lot of doctors get all bent out of shape. They're like, hey, don't fucking go to WebMD, asshole. I'm a real doctor. And you're like, yeah, but I mean, WebMD's out there and it's not all bullshit. And like, how about we like meet in the middle and you just like let me like, so that you can understand the things that I'm interested in and want. And like, I get it. You're not gonna, I'm not gonna direct you as my doctor, but like, I don't know, meet me somewhere in the middle and just let's play together.
But that's the issue. I mean, I think with the whole, I mean, you could get into legal shit as well, but like the medical industry and like doctors, it's like you spend all your time, like 8 years in school. A lot has changed when you finish and graduate.
Oh, totally.
So you just constantly have to be learning. But the biggest thing is just like every individual human is different, but we're treated the same, right? It's like,
well, yeah, largely they're treating the symptoms and not the cause, right?
Yeah. And it's obviously there's the capitalist piece of that too, and are being incentivized to use certain types of medicines
how you treat
and
symptoms.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But it's just more of this like, it's like all the Peter Attia type doctors and stuff where it's like, I want someone to like go through my blood, go through like all my Fitbit data, go through like all my stuff, like my I'll get a glucose thing, and like they're seeing it happen, and like just text me and be like, yo, chill out on the burgers today because I can see some spikes.
What the fuck did you just do?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of doctor I want. Even if that was AI, like that's what I want. Like I just like I'll wear all the sensors. I'll hook it up and like stick the needle in me.
That's what I mean. It'd be cool if AI could do most of that, and then like what AI can't do is like you have this like monthly or maybe quarterly touch point where the AI gives them like these like sort of like high level view of a thing that a doctor could actually see and go, all right, I mean, I see you're having a little bit of trouble doing this. Like, let's kind of figure this out. It's something that AI can't help you with, but maybe another human could help you kind of go like, oh dude, yeah, I get it. Like, let's try this. Or maybe like, yeah, something that you get where I'm going there.
I follow.
Yeah.
I pick up what you're putting down.
I dig it. Well, man, we're at 1 hour and 6 minutes. You want to?
Oh, we're not doing like a 4-hour one.
Not yet. Not yet.
Boo.
I mean,
no, I got nothing. I'm just here.
The only other thing, if you wanted to, or we could save it till next time, is one that I'm highlighting here, which is going to probably annoy our audience to be like, really? Come the fuck on.
Yeah. Why would it annoy them?
So,
if they made it this far, then...
No. It would annoy them that if I mentioned that I'm highlighting something, and they're like, all right, never mind.
No. Yeah.
You put this on here, right?
I think, yes. I think we were talking about it one day. But I mean...
You definitely did.
My designers fucking hate making... like PowerPoint decks and slide decks and like all that kind of stuff. And
okay, hang on. I need some clarification. Is it that they hate making decks, or they hate making decks in PowerPoint?
All of the above.
But is it a multiplier that it's in PowerPoint?
Well, we don't use PowerPoint. We use Google Slides, and so I don't think it really fucking matters.
Okay, that was my point. The same. Have you ever? I know you have. You've made a deck in PowerPoint, right? Is that not like 20 times more painful than like Keynote?
Honestly, I'm with my team on this.
That's not what
I hate all of it. I don't care what it's in. It could be in fucking Keynote too. I don't care. Like,
yeah.
It's like,
I get that. So there's equal level of hate if you had to build it in Keynote or PowerPoint?
Yeah. 100%.
Wow.
Because it's like the same to me.
Weird.
It's the same to me. It's like I'm a product.
Makes me feel
I'm
like
a product designer, not a marketing deck person, because there are people that just do that. And so it's literally like going, hey, I know you're a great engineer and you built Google, but we're going to need you to take the trash out. You know, like
Well,
go do something
I
that's
see it a
fucking
little bit
different.
differently. I'm with you. Decks are not fun to create, but I guess it depends on what the deck's about. Because if you're creating like proposal decks or pitch decks or whatever, like it's a great learning tool, like to have to go through that exercise. Now, obviously, like there's a point in which you're like, okay, I think I got as much out of this as I really would like to get out of it. But to me, what is like the deal stopper is if I have to do it in PowerPoint. I mean, I can do a deck in Keynote and fucking crush it. PowerPoint, and I get people like know how to use certain tools, but to me, anybody can basically use Keynote like right now. PowerPoint, the learning curve or like the way you expect things to work doesn't work that way. Maybe if you're really like already used to like Word and fucking Excel and all that, maybe. I think they all have some pretty bad experiences. But man, trying to build a PowerPoint or a fucking deck in PowerPoint is the worst experience of like anything a designer could do. And that's different than like building it in Keynote, in my opinion.
I 100% agree with you on the learning piece of it. I think that there's extreme business value in decks for pitches, for investments, for like, you know, for whatever. Like there's no reason you wouldn't make a deck if there wasn't like a reason to do it. It's not just for fun, you know? So I'm 100% with you. And not to mention, it's like sometimes these decks make or break companies, like, you know, like they get that investment or get that client or get whatever. So it's like, they're extremely important. I'm not trying to say that at all, but that doesn't change that they're fucking horrible and mind numbing to do. Like, regardless of what you're using, the tool.
Okay.
You know, like,
so what are your actual, what's this in here for? Just to say that designers hate creating decks?
So what's been like, no. So what's like the reason, I mean, at least for my team and like, it's been happening a lot lately. Like we don't have like a giant team. And so, there are lots of decks and we're trying to raise money. We're trying to do all kinds of stuff. We're updating clients. We're doing whatever. And it always falls on us to make these things. Even though we've made templates, we've made these things, we put graphics everywhere.
Oh yeah, never works. I've gone through that.
It's just, there is no simple way. And what's interesting though, and the reason that, like, one, it happened because my team was yelling at me one day. And so I wrote it in here, but, there's a lot of, I almost feel like it's the trend of software that's specifically for making beautiful decks, like on the fly, like the Canva of decks. No, there's other ones like Pitch is one of them. It's called Pitch, and it's just like extremely beautiful designed decks where it's like you just add one and it forces like certain fonts and certain heading sizes and certain stuff, and it's almost like because the issue with like decks is like someone will write a book and go, hey designer, can you make this all look nice now? And you're like, no.
Yeah, in one slide.
No, because there's literally 3,000 words here and you want it to be on one slide. Well, like the stuff that's coming out, like Pitch and all that kind of stuff, like it kind of like forces where you can't. It'll like tell you, I don't know if this one does, but there's certain ones I've seen where they tell you there's too much content. You're going to have to like break this up into another one or something like that. Like it's almost like it puts the design first.
Oh, dude, how cool would that be? It's like you use Grammarly?
I know of Grammarly, but I don't use it.
Or a little bit. Yeah. Well, basically, like up in, it'll give you this like score of like how good the, grammar is. Because sometimes, you'll like copy and paste it from something else and it'll be like, here's all the things you could fix. But the grammar is still not great, or in its opinion. There's sometimes where like it's too correct, and I want to be the human that I am. I want people to be able to like read things as though it's coming from me and not an Oxford dictionary. And so sometimes you'll force it to have like the sentence structure that you want, and you're like, I didn't realize that wasn't wrong, but like that's how I would say it, and that's how I want somebody to read it. But anyway, it gives you basically like a score. And so it's like, if it's terrible, it's like, okay, maybe I should improve it, or maybe I just suck. But then if it's like up in the 90s, it's like, it kind of doesn't matter. even though it's still giving you like corrections. But it makes me wonder if as you're building it and as you're like, it's got certain metrics. So it's like a deck, you know, should never be more than like 10 pages or some shit, right? You know, depending on what it is. Or, so what Grammarly does is when you start a new document, it's like, who's the intended audience? Like, how do you want to sound? Like casual, confident, expert, or some shit like that. I'm kind of butchering that, but those are kind of all the characteristics that you're giving it. And I'm sure they're capturing data there too. They're trying to learn, I'm sure. But it'd be interesting if you're like, hey, this is for this type of audience. Because sometimes, like, say if you're a consultant and you're making a deck for a company, they really get off on like you giving them like a 70-page deck. Whether or not they like actually read it all or not, they feel like they got value out of you, like as a consultant. But if you're like pitching your company, it's kind of almost elevator pitch style, right? Where it's like, tell me what you're trying to tell me in like 10 slides of like each slide having like significant value, or fuck off, right? You give me a 70-page deck and you're trying to get me to give you money. Well, that's a deal stopper. So anyway, it'd be maybe interesting if it had like the little like green to red or whatever, or just like a score that's like, okay, here's what you could do. You could remove or you should remove a couple of pages to get it within the range of like a good deck for your intended audience.
I think that would be cool. Not even just from the pages piece, from the actual individual slide thing, where it's just like,
I agree. Too many words,
but I'm even thinking like spacing, like things are too tight, right? Like you've got too much, like this paragraph with that heading with that graphic are all like on top of each other, right? Or like there's not enough spacing and evenness between it, right? Like, you don't have a graphic, you should add a visual, you know.
So I completely agree with that. And one of the first things I was thinking when you mentioned that was, what if you could take a deck that you created in like, you know, Keynote or Google or Slides or whatever it may be, and drop it in, and it basically just says, because the biggest thing when you give your deck, you were talking about templates never work. The problem is that people that aren't designers just always fuck it up. It like doesn't matter how dummy proof you try to make a template, it's not possible.
Yep.
Like they'll fuck it up. They'll try to put too many words or whatever. What would be really interesting is like this sort of cleaner that you put it through, where you drop it in and it's like, oh, hey, I made all the padding equal on all these. Like, here's the ones where you like it needs massaging because you have too much text. It's like you're trying to have padding, and then there's one deck slide where somebody gives you like, you know, 500 words, and they try to fit it all in. So they push it to the top and they make the text smaller or whatever. Yeah. So the system would be like, this slide's not going to work. Like, fix this. Or you could like say ignore or whatever, but it's trying to like give you like the design output that people typically fuck up when you try to make a template. And that way, you know, doesn't have to have a designer doing it all.
I feel like all this is pretty doable, right? Like
I do too.
You know, it's just
maybe
padding,
it's out there.
Spacing, alignment, looking for elements,
number of words,
word count. Like, all right, maybe this is another product we're making if it doesn't exist.
Sweet. Or if somebody wants to make it.
Or just,
let us beta test it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do that too.
No, I don't want to beta test it. Tell us when it's ready to roll.
I'll beta test it. I don't care.
All right, you beta test it.
I'm a beta guy. Do you run beta stuff?
Not anymore.
I like beta everything, which is why nothing ever works for me. So
yeah. Well, I think I've had the bad version of that one too many times. Like I've done a couple of betas on my phone back in the earlier iOS days, and lost all my shit from not having a recent backup or whatever.
I never lost anything, but I always have issues. Like something will go wrong, right? Where it's just like, this isn't connecting. I don't know why. I can't get on this Zoom. I don't know why. I can't do this thing. I don't know why. You know, it's just like, so
I don't know why.
Working for everybody else.
This beta.
Yeah. So. Ooh, good hair.
Yeah. All right, bro. Well, I think that was kind of fun. Some fun conversation there.
So fun.
So fun.
So fun.
Well, thanks for listening, folks. Subscribe. Smash that subscribe button.
Like it.
What else?
Like
right?
it.
Like it.
Like it. Just like it.
Give us a 5-star rating.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, I'll take whatever.
Yeah.
You can say something.
I know we
nice
keep saying
about
that.
It. Have you
I heard somebody the other day.
Have we gotten
No,
any?
go ahead.
Like I don't get this stuff for like
Dude.
Apple Podcasts or
yeah.
Spotify. So you have to tell me those things.
Well, I thought you did get it, so I was just letting you do that. Okay, we'll have to double check. It's somebody that's like, I love it. Just respond, and we'll sponsor it. You have 2 weeks to get back to us.
Okay. Timeline.
I don't know. Just making shit up.
Man, I mean that's kind
And we
of
missed it,
dick
is what I'm
though.
saying.
I mean, if there's like, we'd love to sponsor you, but if you don't call me back in 30 seconds, they die.
No,
You know?
dude. It's like fiscal year. It's like, hey, we've got $1 million
that's
we
true.
want to give to one podcast. We want it to be you guys. You just need to hit me back. I've got 2 weeks until I have to give it to somebody.
mean,
and then
that
they
makes
ended up
sense.
giving it to the fucking Aphrodite podcast. God damn it.
They took our money. Damn it.
Yeah.
Alexa's trying to talk to me. Sorry. I don't know why.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap this thing. You said God damn it.
Oh yeah, that's probably what I call her. You
Yeah.
know. I changed the name instead of computer.
How can I help
Yeah.
you?
What do you call it? Never mind. That's stupid. There's like an old dad joke in there where it's like you used to like I always want to call my dog damn it, so you could just be like, come here, damn it, you know.
I love that shit. Those are my favorites.
Anyway, all right.
Okay, hey, challenge for us. Before the next episode, we come up with a name for your meme account.
Oh yeah, dude. So hold on. So after the last one,
Okay.
I actually
Yeah.
spent a good hour plus looking for names and doing like the name check where it's like I could see if it's available like in Instagram and
Yeah.
Facebook and whatever. The dumbest shit that I could come up with is taken. Like I was trying to
know,
like
man.
come up with the craziest names that I could think of, phrases, like everything was taken. So like, yeah, I need help badly. Like I don't know what to call it, but I will make
Oh,
it.
all
I will
right.
make it like the second that we have a name, I will set it up and start on it. So
Okay, well, we'll start a little thread. We'll get Scott in there.
yeah,
See if we
but
can
no,
get some
I
ideas going.
definitely need help, and it's got to be kind of weird or funny or something. But
Well, yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Ray's
like-
meme account doesn't really sound very cool.
That could be good,
Maybe,
but it wouldn't be good if it was like free Excel templates.
free Microsoft keys or some kind of like spammy shit.
Dude, we just learned like a growth hack like nobody would have ever thought of.
That shit will
It's
work.
like I came here for the free templates, but goddamn, this is funny shit. I don't know what hillbilly that is, but I like him.
I like him too. It's probably one of our uncles.
Yeah.
All right,
Sweet. Oh, one stupid thing I realized. I told you
It is
few-
going to be a
like few
4-hour
episodes-
one. Fuck yeah. Go
Oh,
ahead.
goddamn
No,
it.
go. What are you saying?
I told you a couple of weeks ago. I was like, yeah, my brother knew what that gun was, and I was like, there was some guy that posted on our YouTube video that knew what the account was. Well, I'm an idiot because I can't like read. It just looked like a bunch of letters. It was like Big Jimbo G.
And that was your brother?
That didn't mean anything to me. That was my fucking brother.
So
Same guy that told me in person. Well,
Okay.
in a text, he knew what gun it was. wrote
you
it.
confused me because you had first told me that your brother knew what it was. I had saw that comment. I assumed that was your brother. Then you were making it seem like, oh, some other dude also commented, and I was like, oh, that's not your brother.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, I'm an idiot.
So never mind. But yeah,
Well, the funny thing is, like, I was looking back through the comments, and then I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, this one guy, he also knew what it was. I remember getting that. This is like weeks afterwards, and then I kind of read it out, and I was like, oh, Jimbo. Oh, wait, my brother's name's Jimmy. Okay. Oops. Anyway. All right, we're going to wrap it before it gets to an hour 30. Ray, good catching up.
samesies.
Until next time. Yeah, same as folks. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Stephen Ray.
Ray Hernandez.
Deuces.
Night.